What makes brands more memorable than others? Well, creativity, people are saying logo design, innovative advertisements, marketing, trust and support, some modern ways to introduce brands, essence and personality, its quality, USP, tagline, visual engagement. Guys, thank you so much for engaging so much. Quality. Some people are writing, for example, Harshita, it is how they interact with their audience without even actually talking. That's so true. If they're actually able to do the way, do the do they are more memorable, like Zomato, and I think that that's super correct. I would like to put up some examples over here. Like Google is one of the examples. What are the emotions that you get when you see Google's logo? What do you feel about Google's logo? You trust them. You think that they're you feel happy. You connect with the world. Technology, vibrancy, playful, empowered, happy, diversity, representation, um, no nonsense tech, everything in one. So, guys, there are around 1,000 people in the webinar, 500 people, more than 500 people in the webinar right now, and all of them have a different emotion which is coming out, and that's how they connect with Google's logo. What do you think about this logo? What do you think about Durex logo? Someone saying amazing. Someone saying um, happiness, stability, family planning, cool, durability, safety, stability, private, simple, sensibility, safe, right? By the way, blue is the color which entices the emotion of trust in a person's subconscious, right? Mind blowing, secure, trust, right? A lot of things from one logo, so many emotions from one logo, right? And then I would say the job is well done. uh, so, guys, design, as we're talking about it, is something which is super important, especially in today's world when there is so much visual. There is hardly any text and there is so much visual. Like Zomato is doing a wonderful job. This is one of their designs, wraps from every gully boy, right? Divine food delivered with Raftar. Order online at Zomato. I think they've done a very good job at designing. Favorite couples of 2018: Priyanka and Nick, Ranveer and Deepika, Isha and Anand, Radhika and a streaming service, butter chicken and naan. Every third order in 2018 on Zomato was for North Indian food. I mean, this design is really well done. They're creating humor. They're writing it in such a beautiful way that I want to read it. The colors are easy to my eyes, and they're giving some insights as well. I think it's a perfect design. So now that we're here, I want to ask you one question. What is design according to you? What is design according to you? Okay, people are saying problem solving, art, creativity and vision, emotions, comfort, brand logo, expression, impression, a statement, creativity, pulling attention, geometric shapes, presentation, arrangement and appearance, a way in which you say you want to. Design is expressing emotions. So connectivity, I think, guys, uh, all of the answers are in the chat box. So the design, what is design? Design is realization of concept, or of a concept or idea into configuration, drawing, model, mold, pattern, plan, specifications, blah 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 blah, and which helps to achieve items, designated objectives. Well, I don't think you came for to this webinar to learn this definition. Yes, 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 everybody. So I think I've made a presentation of 110 slides. And in this presentation, we are going to experience what design is. And by the end of it, I think you should expect to have a lot of understanding of how and where and what does design revolve around. Okay. So good design is like, alcohol. It is timeless, right? It comes in various shapes, sizes, small, large, patiala. It is tasteful, it is tasty. You need it when you've got problems, right? Design solves problems. um, Principles of design, right? So, guys, as everything, as life, as science, as everything in our life, design also has principles. And if you learn those principles, you will learn the fundamentals of design. And when you learn the fundamentals of design, you can play around with it and you can combine them to bring something beautiful, right? So the first principles of design, okay, someone's asking, will we get this PPT? No, you won't get this PPT. The first principle of design is color, right? Colors are used to convey emotions. They support certain personalities. Like every color would have a different personality. Every shade of that color, every variation of that particular color will have different personality. It sets the mood and it sets the atmosphere of your design, and then that is one of the ways your design would communicate, right? The second thing is balance. Now, balance in design would create harmony. It is about being symmetrical and asymmetrical. That's a choice. Each element holds a weight, right? So how much do you want to do it? Let's say here it's 50-50. Do you want to make this blue color 20% and the beige color 80%, or do you want to do it the other way around? That is the balance. Balance is one of the principles of design in which you're balancing the other principles of design, right? There are lines, different kinds of lines help to guide the eyes. Straight lines help create harmony. Curved lines help create movement. There is so much of philosophy just in terms of lines. There are thousands of ways in which you can use the lines, in which there are lines, and that'll add on to the combination of principles of design that you're making for your design. There is typography. Now, I would say that you should limit to three typefaces. It's a rule, guys. Serif is for print and sans serif is for web. So if you think, if you can imagine, the Times of India, or let's say the Bible, you would see serif, this one, the serif which has the wiggly lines coming out of them, would be used for printing. Whereas if it's something which is web based, anything that you see around your phone, your laptop, your screen right now, your chat box, all of them is sans serif, right? There are other ways as well. For example, the script font, which looks like handwritten, monospace, which looks like typewriter font, and display fonts, which again are designed. You can use kerning for great headlines. Kerning is basically playing with your fonts, coloring them, spacing them, and doing several kinds of experimentation with your text. Guys, are we clear till now? Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? Am I going all right, everyone? If I'm going perfectly fine, just write yes, yes, or all right. That is fantastic. Thank you so much. Awesome. So the fifth principle of design that we have is contrast, which means that if you add a contrast, you can add the contrast with shape, you can add the contrast with colors, you can add the contrast with sizes. So contrast is something which is pretty philosophical in a way. If there is no sadness, you will not appreciate happiness. If there is no night, you will not know what day is. If you don't know, it's like opposite values complement each other. That's the fundamental rule for contrast. So yeah, I mean, if you connect your design with philosophy, I think a lot of things are going to make sense. Then we have scale. How are you positioning two elements? So sizing of different elements brings attention to certain areas, helps to demonstrate a concept, and this advertisement has beautifully used scale as their one of the main principles of their design. Then you have hierarchy, which is the most important element. Focus on the goal of the design. And then curved lines help create movement. Again, this is like two principles combined: curved lines and hierarchy. But here, if you see, I want to see 20% off. That is something which is like a hook for me, if for a customer, right? When I see this, I'll find out where am I getting a 20% off, how am I getting a 20% off. Shop now is like a call to action, and then a picture in the background to show that okay, this is what you can imagine. So all right. Guys, a few people are saying that you're not understanding what I'm saying. Is that the case with a lot of people? Because I have to cater to around 700 people over here. All right. I think we'll carry on with however we are carrying on. Thank you so much. um, Repetition. Now repetition is something which is a marketing concept. If you think about it, impressions is the word that I'd like to use. If you have traveled in Mumbai local trains, or if you have taken a road trip where you've seen, those wall prints like Ultratech Cement, they'll have Ultratech Cement's logo printed one next to the other, one next to the other, hundreds of times. Has that happened with you guys? Or Prestige Cooker, or it's GKTMT, or a lot of wall prints. It's repetition is the same exact thing over here as well. It's the more number of times you see a brand's name, a brand's logo, the more trust you start building, right? So that's one of the major uses of repetition. And then if you can make a design out of that repetition, I think there's nothing like it. Then we have direction. Yeah, you are directing the people in a certain way. Well, people read from left to right, so we've period pieces from 1869 to 2016. Sounds great. So you're directing the eyes of a consumer. So, F, E, and Z patterns are a way of designing as well. So you should definitely read more about it. This is something I've taken superficially, but uh, direction is a more of user experience concept, in which you are making it easy for the customer, or the audience, to go through your designs. Then we have space. Beautiful concept. Space is something that you can use, and you can use it beautifully. For example, here we have Batman and the other figure. Can someone tell me what is the other figure over here? Can someone tell me what is the other figure with Batman? There is Birdman, is it? Witch, Penguin, Sherlock, Dobby. It looks like a lot of things. Joker is the one I think I would like to go with. So yeah, uh, I think spaces is another principles which help a lot. Now, with principles of design being covered, I would like to talk about RGB and CMYK. Do you guys have a confusion between why should you use and where should you use RGB and where should you use CMYK? Yeah. I think most of us are not too sure about what RGB and what CMYK are. So if you guys are making a design which is going to be used for a digital use, then you should be going with RGB. If you guys want to print something, then you should be going with CMYK. So what is the difference? So RGB is based on uh, um, a deduction. It's like a deduction theory that you are working on. For example, so RGB is addition and CMYK is deduction. Deduction and addition of brightness, right? Originally, the screen is black. You're adding colors to that. You're adding more of a white light to that. So that is additive theory. And CMYK, you always print in white color. So you are reducing the brightness by putting in colors and making a combination of that. Just remember that RGB is for web and digital, CMYK is for print, right? Differentiate. So let's differentiate between some good and bad designs, guys. I have some examples. Would you like to do an activity? Would you like to participate in this? Yes, yes, no, no. Absolutely, right. I think a hands-on activity always helps. So shoes and shoes, or hose and hose, which one do you think you'll read looking at this design? Shoes and shoes, right? and a lot of people would read it as shoes and hose or hose and shoes, and for some reason it makes sense, hose and shoes, right? So this is a bad design. Too cool to do drugs, and sharpen the pencil a little more, cool to do drugs, and sharpen it a little more, it gets really serious, do drugs. And guys, it's a very very bad design, right? Kids are going to be using the pencil, or even if it's not kids, anyone who's using the pencil shouldn't see do drugs in their pencil. It looks really bad, and I think it'll have a very bad consequence. Over here it says texting while driving kills. For more driving tips, text safety to 79191. What do you think? Is it a good design or a bad design? It's a pathetic design. What do you think of the right side? Is it fashion fart, or is it fashion art, or is it ashen fart? Yeah, I mean, people would say fashion fart because it's funny, but I think they wanted to write fashion art, and they did it terribly, terribly, terribly wrong. Then we have don't be happy, worry, right? That is another one. I think it's a bad design. They wanted to write don't worry, be happy, or be happy, don't worry, but they have written don't be happy, worry, right? So the next one, it's not a funny one, but I think it's a disastrous one. Uh, what do you think they wanted to write, and what do you think they've written, right? So guys, bad designs are not just bad, but bad designs are disastrous. So don't do bad designs. It really, really hurts. A lot of times it hurts sentiments, right? So everything is designed, but few things are designed well. If you see only few things, those things that are really a part of your life are because they're designed really, really well, and not just like the visual or the design which you do in the computer. Maybe a product could be designed well as well. Maybe design can be design has no limits. So very few things are designed very well. For example, this ad, it says so they've stacked the slices of tomato, and they've said no one grows ketchup like Heinz. They're literally saying that they're growing the ketchup, it's organic, it's coming directly from the farm, and it's a message well delivered. The space is very well used, there's hardly any text, and the visual is perfectly balanced. It's a symmetrical image almost, but it works. Here, this is to honor Shakespeare. McDonald said, "To be or not to be." It's a very popular quote by Shakespeare. And in the middle, they have said, "What's for lunch?" Right? So I think really, really well. Even Calvin Klein does their graphics very well. They'll use a figure, it's super minimal, hardly any text, right? And people are now able to imagine that, women would imagine, if I wear this lingerie, I would feel this beautiful. Similarly for Ralph Lauren, if I wear Ralph Lauren, I would feel like this man, super confident and polished and sophisticated, and those are the emotions behind it. Similarly with Omega, I think it's very popular with Omega that they've used James Bond for their watches. If you wear Omega watches, you'll feel that adventurous, you'll feel that vibe of James Bond 007 edition, Spectre edition, all those things. So let your design. So now, guys, moving ahead, let your designs also complement your copy. This is This is a graphic by Paperboat, and it says, "Where does mummy hide the snacks?" So along with the graphic, they've added a copy which is making sense together, right? And this then would remind you of your childhood. Yes, yes, no, no. Everybody, hello, zone in, zone in, zone in. All right. The next graphic that we have is can you guess who are they honoring with this graphic? Nescafe. Who is it for? I mean, a lot of people would say Harry Potter, but the ones who are getting it correct are saying Mahatma Gandhi or Gandhiji, right? And it doesn't need to it doesn't need to say it's for Gandhi, but we know because it's designed really, really well. It all starts when one man decides to shun violence, and that's the copy which is going along with it. So even if someone doesn't understand the glasses, they would understand that this is about the non-violence movement which Gandhiji started. Right. Now, the next thing is alignment. You have to choose the positioning right. It's not like you decide all the elements, you decide all the principles, and then you put them in together and throw them together anyhow, and it's going to be looking nice. No, you have to align all things well, and alignment is crucial. Without alignment, your graphic doesn't work. It may be a good design, it may have all the right elements, but it wouldn't work. So for alignment, these are a few things that I have. If you see this element, all of these things are aligned in a certain way, and that's why you can imagine that this person is Hitler, right? No shit, it's Hitler. Over here, also you can see the alignment of it. It's just so perfect. So the dates on the top right, the time, and all the details that need to be mentioned. Get in touch with your inner child and let it play in the traffic. And then they've placed all of these individual elements in a certain way, right? The sun is placed, the cloud is placed, everything is placed in a certain way. This giant man is playing with the kid, but it's blocking the road, all of it. So I think alignment really plays well. Another one would be pixels are a major turn off. So you have to make sure that your pictures, your graphics are not pixelated at all. A hack that I would like to say is that if your images, if your graphics are not pixelated, if they're super, if they're opposite of pixelated, Instagram would push your post and it'll get a higher reach, right? So do that. Size matters. How many of you guys think that size matters? Yeah. How many? Okay, all the girls are saying size matters. Know your resolutions and your medium, right? Guys, there are different places where you're going to put your advertisements, where you're going to put your graphics, where you're going to put your designs. So this is from a campaign, and I've collected all of these graphics from different places. So let's say this would be an ad in one of the side columns of the website where you have your Facebook ads and Google ads. This would be from your normal Facebook graphic. This would be from like a bottom banner. This would be from like a top banner. So for all of it, they have adjusted their design, and for all of them, I think design is looking super relevant. You can't use the same size, you can't use the same dimension for all of the places. Now, one rule, I think everyone would agree over here, that less is more, and that's always correct. If you have less things, people will have less distractions, and your focus on the right things will be much more. The call to action would be clicked many more times than otherwise. So try to keep as minimal as possible. What I do, let's say in my copywriting, what I do is I write a paragraph, right? Then I cut it down to half, then I cut it down further. And then when there are such elements that without changing the meaning, if I can't remove anything, that is my final copy. And the same with design. If by reducing and removing, I've reached such a stage that now if I change anything, the meaning of the graphic will change. That is the place, that is the point in time where your graphic is done, right? So less is more. For example, this ad communicates a lot of things, right? It communicates the logo, it communicates that it's for a sandal, and it's a minimal design. It looks very pleasing to the eye, right? For example, this one. Um, when you have the coffee, you turn it from off to on, something like that. Hard Rock Cafe. It shows the culture. Using the folk, they've shown the culture for Hard Rock Cafe without using any text. I think this is so cool. Before this was Heinz tomato ketchup, using finger chips and ketchup on them like jewels, right? It speaks a lot. Ordinary things, extraordinary good. Nivea Night. So they've made a moon out of it without any copy. I think this ad is looking beautiful. Yes, yes. Is everyone on the same page here? Is everyone liking the webinar? Are you guys finding it informative? That is awesome. I love the interaction which is going on in the chat box right now. Uh, yes. So white is always right. Um, you can use white color, mix and match it with anything. Melbourne Food and Wine Festival, 8th October 2000. So, black and white is such a combination that can be used anywhere. You can monetize on that. Even in this presentation, if you see, white color is making sure that your focus is over here, right? So white can be really used. Even this text is written on white. It's actually a blank space if you see. It's just that the blue color is not in these places, and white is playing its role very, very well. Um, some more designs for text over here. Let's say mosquito is written in this. So here it's kerning. Mosquito is written over here. It says Valentine's. It's a Valentine's Day ad for a restaurant. I think it's a beautiful ad again. So guys, uh, how do you think of design? What is your so this is one of the processes. How do you come up with your designs? Can you guys tell me your process? How do you come up with a design? What is the entire process from start till the end? Just probably summarize it, and I could give you my feedback on that. I don't want you to write a long paragraph on it. So people are writing innovation and someone saying hi, and I think the rest of the people are okay. Brainstorming ideas, okay, planning the layout, process, execution, trial and error. I'm from commerce background. Innovation and creativity, message to convey to whom and the language he can best understand. Brainstorming, first ideation on the topic, solution to topic, what needs to be promoted and what needs to be shown. Which one do I pick up? By thinking about what is the product and what I want to design, think, research, and design. Think, create, feedback, repeat. Okay, eye catching. All right. So, guys, one of the ways of designing is choose a problem area, do your user research, define problem guiding personas, brainstorm solutions, prototype lo-fi, test with users, prototype hi-fi, test, iterate, repeat, a design. I personally think that this is a tedious process, and in every design school in the world, they're teaching you this, right? Whereas I've never been to a design school. How I design is somewhat like this. Um, I have made five things over here. First, you understand your target audience. As designing, as much as you know your skills, I think one of the most important factors in design is understanding the audience who's going to see your design, right? If you understand the audience who's going to see your design, you've solved half the problem over there. It's just like sharpening the axe before cutting the tree. I would spend most of my time sharpening the axe and before cutting the tree. Understand the problem. Why are you creating the design? So when you have both of these things, the target audience and you've understood the problem, you put all things in a pot. That's your mind, and then you ideate. Then you're gonna come up with some plan, execute that plan, see how it's looking, maybe make minor changes, iterations, and then implement it. I think that's as simple as that. Plan the typefaces, plan the shapes, plan the colors, right? These are going to be super important. I think they're going to play the majority of the role. Textures and tones. Ideate with a minimal design. You start with something super minimal, keep things very simple, and that is going to sort your life out. Um, then I have these more designs, headphones, pencil. Look at how they have done a very simple design using so minimal, minimally chosen the elements and making meaning out of it. Any guesses on what form and function is, guys? Ever heard of these two jargons? All right. So someone's saying don't pick like the fork and the spoon come under aspects of photography more than design. Well, if you are limiting your prospect, your world of design just inside Illustrator and Photoshop, then probably yes. But I would say the end result is what you would call design, and everything before that is your work. So I personally look at it in that manner. Everything is the final design would be a combination of everything else before. So yeah, form is something which is something you can see, you can touch, whereas function is something which you feel. It's more like the body and soul, right? You see the body, you touch the body, you know what is what, where is what, all of those things. Form is the shape, it's the visual appearance or configuration of an object. In a wider sense, the form is the way something happens. So let's say in a MacBook, it's built with aluminum. It has plastic keys. It has a glass. It has a screen. It has a lot of silicon inside. There are, those things are the form, but the software is probably the function. Function is the key. Is the kind of action or the activity similar to a person, thing, or an institution. It's just like body and soul, form and function. So you have to take into the consideration both of these things while you're making your design, right? So as Steve Jobs said, and I think Steve Jobs is, he was a lot of things, an entrepreneur, a lot of things. But I think one thing he definitely was a good design visualizer. He said that design is not what it looks like, design is how it works. A lot of people must have heard the story, but when the first design of an iPod was made, the first prototype of an iPod was made, he took it in his hand, took it in the hand. He found it super heavy. Looked around it, and then the first thing he does before starting it is he drops it inside an aquarium, right? And when he drops the iPod inside the aquarium, a lot of air bubbles came out, and he said to his designers that keep ideating, keep iterating until the air bubbles will have no space inside the iPod. And I think that's a wonderful way of thinking about design, and that's something which would justify that form actually follows function. So with that, I want you to understand what UI and UX is. It's pretty similar in a lot of ways. So UI is what you see. Anything that you see, it's pretty tangible. What you can touch as well. But UX is the experience part, is something which you feel. So user interface UI is focused on how a product surface looks, and the function. User experience is focused on the user journey to solve a problem. So if it's a restaurant, if you have to take an example, the table, the cutlery, the glass, the flowers, all of those things that you can see, the things that you can touch, maybe the surface of the chair, the main door of the restaurant, all of those things are UI. And the service, let's say, as you drove in, the valet stood next to it, next to your car, took the keys, opened the gate for you, and then when you entered, there was someone to open the door, a person who's receiving you, taking you to the table, someone taking the food order, the music around, the lighting around, the ambience around. That is the UX, right? So UI is tangible and UX is intangible. Let's look at some of the design trends to keep in mind. Now, these are some of the ideas that I'm putting in your head, and maybe at some point in time, this will help you to, um, think about more ideas by combining a lot of other things. So you can use translucent overlays. It's not transparent, but translucent overlays, and you can write quotes, you can do other things over here, say thank you mom for encouraging me in my love of writing, and there's a typewriter which sets perfect with the context. Then you can use fun icons to reinforce your message, like this spaceship or this scissors. Those things will really help. The lake picture over here, the icon over here, the chocolate icon over here, the plantation icon over here. So um, these are all, I think, several ways to reinforce your design. If you would have just written chocolate tasting, uh, Paikara Lake or Uti Botanical Garden, that would have sufficed. People would have gotten the message. It was so boring. This you would like to see. This you would like to go here. You would like to see the lake over here, because it's also now connected to a visual that you have seen. Similarly, use a background that reinforces your message. I think we've seen that in the overlays, but a lot of things are in the gray area. So this one, let's say, really goes with the happy yoga day vibe, and these flowers really go with the moment. Zivame's ad, thank you ma, the mom. Everything is going mom, say moment, and then thank you ma and Zivame, and then the flowers and the pink color and this font and everything is going together. Similarly, you can create text blocks using dividers. So, what are text blocks? Text blocks are this, like, it's like a block that you have created, and there is a little bit of spacing, negative spacing over here. The main graphic is over here, so it looks like an important area, but not so important that you miss out on this graphic, and it really plays well. So all of these things are text blocks, right? You can use them in your designs, and you can write your copies over there. Then you have to let your shapes and images interact with each other. So shapes, right? Shapes and then images, and again, the the shape of this text block and the image, right? They're all interacting with each other. Like, this is a diagonal thing. It feels like this image was created for this text, or this text was created for this image, both hand in hand, right? Similarly to that, have a little fun with the fonts. You can really play around with the fonts, and you'll save a lot of design space, and it'll also look cool. It'll make sense. Don't use a lot of text. Keep it clean. Keep it minimal, as we've also already seen in the previous slides. Don't keep a lot of things. Only keep the things which are super important and without which the message is not being delivered. Remove all the extras. That goes with the text as well. So someone's asking me how many characters should be there. I mean, there's no limit of the characters, but it's just that definitely more than 30% of your graphics should be text, less than 30%. And below that, the more you can reduce, the better your design is going to look, right? Use very high quality images. If you don't have images, use stock photographs, and you can invest in a platform which is giving you stock photographs, because they really work. You need to have good imagery in your design. um, Code graphics are also very, very trendy. Have a nice picture and have a nice code, or a piece of text. So the highlight of the graphic would be the text, and the image would just complement your graphic. um, Someone's asking me, where can we make design on which websites? I'll come to that. Rashmi Pal. Infographics, very, very trendy. I think in one image you can see a lot of information, and that is an easy user experience. For example, celebrating 130 years of Coca-Cola, and all of the information over here. It's like a mini town hall happening in one graphic. So yeah, I think this is super cool. Here now we are contradicting with our point that use less text, but the purpose of infographic is to give information. Now, even to give information, you could have written paragraphs over here, but you're choosing to write only one line about this 300 billion. You're choosing to write only one phrase about this 84.5 million. So there you're limiting the text. Then you can brand your graphics with colors, typography, and even filters. So if you go to a lot of Instagram profiles, you'll see that all the images are with very similar filters to each other. Colors are very, very similar. Typography is definitely the same. So design stem from the brand itself, and a brand's personality is how you have chosen your design to be, and what you want to communicate to the world, that what is your personality. I think a lot of elements like colors, typography, spaces, and all the principles that we talked about would help you announce to the world that this is the personality of my brand. Okay, someone's asking me a question. Uh, what if we are not marketing, but it's just some academic information, not very factual? I don't understand your question, Tanya Bansal. Could you kindly rephrase? Favorites are HP, Long, Sony. Okay, it's LG. Bigger the names, simpler the logos. All right. What would you recommend for NGO? Metsi, kindly rephrase the question. What would I recommend for what? Like, with what context? All right. So, guys, brand. A brand is described as a company, a service, or a product, or a person that has a voice and a personality of their own. So, if you've learned any commerce, you would have learned that any company has a perpetual existence and it has a separate legal identity. So, you're supposed to treat a company like a person. It has its own voice, it has its own personality, right? And design really helps you to make sure that a company has a different personality. So what is brand identity? Before we study that, can you identify these logos, or can you identify these companies? Everyone, just tell me which one is this. Nike, right? But there's nowhere where you can see Nike written over here. You just see the symbol and you know that it's Nike. Can someone tell me which brand am I talking about in this screen? It's pretty obvious that it's Vodafone. That it's Vodafone, right? Uh, it's Vodafone for sure. And this guy comes in all of those advertisements of what company? It's called Trivago. Hotels Trivago. This guy is famous for that, right? Hotels Trivago. That's what he says. So, guys, brand identity is the way people recognize the brand, right? You guys recognized all of them: Nike, Vodafone, Trivago. You guys didn't read any name over there. There was no text, but you saw it and you understood it, and that is the brand identity, right? I think that makes it very easy for you to understand what brand identity is. Yes, someone's written me, if you have to create an ad post for our clothing and jewelry brand, so which type of a design should we create? If you have any sample, then please share it. All right. Okay, let's talk about that after the webinar. Okay, why is a brand logo important? A brand logo is important because it establishes ownership, it creates an image, it solidifies consumer loyalty, and it is your most powerful marketing tool. People will recognize you like that. So in this presentation, you must have seen IID's logo throughout the presentation in every slide. And I'm certain that after some point in time, when you think about digital marketing, if you think about digital marketing, the first name that pops up in your mind is IIDE, right? Because I've shown you this so many times. I'm sure you've seen so many advertisements of IID, and in all of them, you will see the logo. And that's how it's establishing the ownership. It creates an image, it solidifies the customer loyalty, and it is your most powerful marketing tool, right? Now, something deeper: brand guidelines, slash brand manual slash brand mood board. So in my agency, we're making all of these things. We're doing a lot of designs, as I said. Logo is something that you design. The first thing that you design for a brand, inside a brand guidelines, is the logo. Then you bring variations in colors. You give several colors to the brand, right? Then you have the color palette coming in. One main color, two secondary colors, a few extra colors. There's typography. One is a typography which goes into your logo. Then there is some more typography which you can use on your documents. There is some more typography that you can use if there is a need for the third typography. Why do you need brand guidelines? Because it creates consistency. It sets the standards and the rules. It avoids confusion, right? All the 3 points are super important, guys. Let's say if you think of a business that you have or you want to start, right? You want the people to know you for sure, because only then will you get good business. And how will you make sure that people think of you? It's because of the brand consistency. It's because they think that you've set the standards and the rules, and there's no confusion that apart from IID, there's anyone else who's going to teach you digital marketing, right? So that's why you need all of these things. Content and design. Now, what comes first? A lot of designers, a lot of web developers have this, and content writers will have this conflict that what will come first. Some will say that you give me the content first. Some will say you give me the design first, then I'll write the content. But uh, in all cases, content always comes first. Design in the absence of content is just decoration, guys. It's useless. You can't design something and then fill it with content. You have to write it and then design on the basis of what content requirements we had, right? Putting the content first speeds up the production. I've seen this when we make websites at Adish, when we make designs at Adish, when we do social media at Adish. The first thing that we do is the content strategy, content writing, right? That's the first thing. Then that content goes to the design team. The right copy needs the right design, so it gets designed, and then content creates understanding and research. So it's like a full process. Design is the communication. At the end, design, the entire package will be called design, and that communicates for the clients. So content first, design second. A design platform you should be aware of. So I think someone asked me this question. Please tell me a tool or something. Canva is something. If you guys are basic designers, all the people who use Photoshop and Illustrator, please don't get mad at me. I also use Illustrator and Canva, Illustrator and Photoshop. But when I didn't know how to use them, Canva was something which really helped me. And another tool which my team uses is Figma. So you can try out these two, and they're both very intuitive. It's very easy to design with both of these tools. There's another one if you want to create GIFs. It's called Jiffy.